Okay, guys, so welcome everybody. It's being recorded from now on. This meeting has been organized by the Weekly Fasting Group. It's an international WhatsApp group of individuals who cultivate the habit of fasting once a week for at least 24 hours with the possibility of extension. It's a completely open-minded group, so everyone can fast whatever the way they want. It can be dry, liquids, water. And if this idea appeals to you, and if you're watching this video afterwards on YouTube, then you will find my WhatsApp number below the video. My name is Arik, and I'm the moderator of the group. So you're welcome to send me a WhatsApp message with your name, and I will happily add you to this group. You will get lots of fasting support there, lots of healing support. And today we have with us again Jesse. So welcome, Jesse.
Thank you for having me, Arik.
Yeah, I'm so happy, so happy for myself and for all the people who are present and who will watch it later to get something from your wisdom, from your teachings. So guys, we have lots of very interesting subjects to discuss today, but we'll start with a short guided meditation just to get ourselves grounded, and then we will delve right away into our subject. So Jesse, over to you.
Okay, greetings. Thank you, everyone. So glad to be here with you all once again. I appreciate this Sangha and community of people dedicated to their health. And I'm gonna lead you through the same meditation we did last time, but we're gonna do it differently this time. And last time we did the microcosmic orbit and increased the fire in our bodies and in our mind. That increases your passion and etc. This time we'll do the water path, and that's meant to sort of tap you into your yi mind, or your knowing mind. Your water mind, that's sort of more like your subconscious yin mind. So if you'll just get yourself comfortable here, do the same, and get your spine nice and straight. It's a pretty key thing. They say act as if your spine is a string of pearls that's being pulled, from the top, from like a crown chakra. So we're just going to rest into the breath here for a moment and concentrate your awareness to begin with on your solar plexus, just a few inches above your navel. And just put your mind awareness on that point. Now breathe your awareness into your heart center. Just feel your heart. Good to nose breathe while you're doing this. Next, put your awareness on your throat chakra. Next, put your awareness on your third eye. Now put your awareness on your fontanelle or your crown chakra, the top of your head. This is a pranic feeding tube. Don't think about that too much. Just put your concentration there. Try to feel a pulse. The next spot is at the base of the skull, where the spine meets the skull. Just relax. The next spot will be between your shoulder blades. Just a little towards the, how could I describe this? So maybe 6 inches down from the last spot. Now, like about 4 inches below that, also between the shoulder blades, is another point. And relax into that point. Relax the tension there, if there is any. Next will be your coccyx, your tailbone. Just breathe into there for a little minute. Feel it pulse. Next spot will be your perineum. Next, you'll concentrate on your genitals. Just relax. It's a sensing organ. Vital part of your energy body. And now, lastly, bring your attention to your dantian, a couple inches below your navel. This is the great processor of your body. Just feel that spot for a minute. And then next, what we're going to do is circulate along the same path, starting with the solar plexus and going all the way around up to the top of the head with the in-breath. And we'll exhale, and with the down breath, let it fall down our back and circulate it back up. We'll just do that 3 times. Good deep breath. And then you can just bring your hands to your heart center. And your awareness there. Remember that your heart is not only the loving vibration, but also the courage vibration in your true essence. And that is that. You can slowly sort of shake it off, come back in. And you can do that circulation of the mind as many times as you like. You can spend as much time as you want on any of the points if we decide to take this meditation into practice. And I hope you enjoyed that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much, Jesse. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Okay, Jesse. So maybe there are some of our viewers, or maybe even some of the people who are present here, who do not know you yet. So could you please present yourself and tell us just in a few words, what are you doing in life and what's your background, etc.?
Sure, yeah. So I'm a permaculturalist, an herbalist, father, and there's so many things we can all call ourselves, right? But I'm a Buddhist and a Liquidarian slash Breatharian. I'm a Pranic practitioner, and so I have a lot of experience with fasting, a lot, and also with herbs and nutrition. And I just really enjoy cultivating the life of land and the life of myself and the life of people. It's been my healing path, and it's really a joy to share just these natural ways in which we can take sovereignty of our health into our own hands and spread a more whole loving vibration into the world because of the self-work that we do. So it's I'm really into the Taoist art of life cultivation, you know, as a practice. So that's kind of what I'm into.
Yeah, Jesse, and how did you first become interested in permaculture, cultivating plants, etc.?
Had to happen initially. I mean, it's the kind of thing that it's very interesting because when I look back, it goes way back to the beginning, you know, very early. I remember my earliest memory, it was one of my most vivid memories of my entire life. I was hiking with my folks, and I fell asleep on my dad's shoulders, and he woke me up and set me down in this field of flowers, and I just looked around. I was like, cool, I'm in heaven.
Wow.
I made it, you know?
Wow.
And I felt like that was the first day the plants called to me, because I just felt like I was surrounded by all these stars, you know?
Yeah.
And so there's things like that. There's things like my stepfather was an amateur botanist, and he, you know, was like a real Renaissance man. He studied everything, philosophy and astronomy and botany, and, you know, I was just a teenager, you know, or a preteen, and he would be chanting all this botanical Latin into my ears and like telling me about all these plants. And I wasn't even interested. I was like, let's go home. I want to skateboard. I want to play video games. But I was like being trained, you know. My life was training me. And then in high school, I started working with vision plants. You know, I started going through my own metamorphosis and self-exploration, and with cannabis and psilocybin mushrooms. And that really alerted my awareness to the way in which we're completely enmeshed in the biology of this planet. That really, you know, that's partly why I'm a Buddhist. That's, you know, sort of the thinking is, this is really just one organism that I'm a part of. I'm like a cell of, you know. And I saw that the way we were doing things was harmful not only to ourselves, but the animals and the planet itself. And something changed in me, a commitment, you know, kind of rose in me, that I wanted to live my life differently than that. So I, you know, struggled with that for a while because of my enculturation, thinking I got to figure out how I'm going to make a career and what am I going to do. And, you know, and I'm a musician. That was my first love. I thought for sure I'd be a musician. But it, you know, just kept coming back again and again, this love of plants and wanting to be in gardens and wanting to be out in the forest and how to, you know, make that a livelihood. So I went to a permaculture school, and then I worked with various landscapers. I did my own, you know, organic farming, and eventually just did that so long, I carved out a business for myself. And some 10 years later, I started dealing with health issues along the way. So I moved into raw foods and started working with herbs, and that just really ignited a flame of passion for me with herbalism and foraging. When you start to learn the wild plants all around you and foods all around you that are trying to heal you, literally, I can guarantee that everyone listening right now, if you went outside and knew that the plants that were around you, you could heal yourself with what's in your yard.
Wow.
You know, it's just a matter of reacquainting ourselves with these plant cesters. You know, the plants are ancestors. The plants and the fungi were the first beings here on the planet. Fungi before plants.
Yeah.
And so, and as Rudolf Steiner says, we're basically a plant that makes soil inside its belly so it can walk around, and we photosynthesize, you know, vitamin D. We photosynthesize serotonin. There's a lot of things that we, just by being in the sun, we give our body. So I came upon this whole understanding because in permaculture design, they talk about flows, and the flows of the sun, you know, the soil, the water, and the wind. And this is the alchemical path of earth, wind, fire, water. When I studied herbalism later, when you look at all of the traditions of the earth, they talk about the same thing with respect to plants and the human body. So it's this, there's this connection that goes all the way down for all of us. So that was the long way around to saying how I got into all of this, I guess, but it's become my healing path, and it's something that kind of simplifies a system that simplifies how to heal land, heal people, and understand plants. So is what I've come into, which has been a wonderful. I feel very blessed to be and grateful to be the holder and keeper of some of this knowledge. So,
wow, that's awesome. That's awesome, Jesse. Now, I wanted to ask, you know, there is a notion among certain people who are on the healing path regarding nutrients. There is this notion that, especially when we get close to the Pranic state, Breatharian state, Liquidarian state, we don't need to worry much about nutrients because our body is able to synthesize many of the things. But on the other hand, there is this whole science of nutrition, which nutrients our body needs to get with food, with sun, etc. So, what's your take on it? Should it is it like an is it really like an outdated science, all these vitamins and nutrients, or we do need to really take care of it in our nutrition?
as in all things with alchemy, the answer is yes, no, and both. So, as you are moving more into the pranic state, the main thing to get over is in the mind that you need things outside of yourself. You're a self-organized energy being. As this healing path progressed, I learned through fasting, meditation, Qigong, sexual temperance, you know, all these things, that the spine is, and the spinal column is a transmitter receiver of energy, as is your DNA. Your bones are piezoelectric and pyroelectric. They're also superconductor, semiconductor, resonator, and there's another one, but I'm forgetting. It's a crystalline conductor, right? Your heart makes this electromagnetic energy field. It's a singularity from which an electromagnetic energy field emanates, you know. So really, if you even like took one atom of your body and split it, it would be a cataclysmic explosion. There's tons of energy in your body. There's cosmic energy coming down. There's solar energy. There's energy coming up from the earth. It's learning about how to reacquaint the body with this, because no matter what you eat or drink, your body's always trying to throw it off, right? You're trying to pee it out or poop it out, or it comes out through your breath, you know. But once it's the thing of the mind and the body and the spirit all have to meet as one. They all are one, you know, but they all have to link up to this point to be full breatharian. I know the reason that I'm not full breatharian yet is the mental blockages I have basically on nutrition, and also moreover the social aspects of eating, because I'm in a family. And so not being able to sit at the table and have something with them feels odd, if you do it on the daily, So taking drinks to have something, in sort of community, is part of the thing, because of this psychological component of human beings. But physiologically, in order to build to this pranic state, you need to give yourself the best possible nutrition, to actually electrify the cells and make your body more pranic, more electric, because you can't just stop eating food. Your body, you need to adapt your body and get your body vibrating to the different cosmic energies and sun and breath and all these things. They say actually your breath, doing breath work alone can increase your bone density,
Okay.
So there's things that your body does. They've vetted this with science already. Things that come from the sun, things that come from the breath, that build your body.
Okay.
So it's a mental leap. If you believe that you will starve without eating, then you will.
Okay.
But at the same time, you can't just become a breatharian by putting tape over your mouth and stopping eating. So
Yes. So if we have a person, so I just wanted to ask you if there is a danger that the person decides, okay, from now on, I'm not not giving any attention to nutrition because I'm on the breatharian path and my body is going to produce everything, but the person is not there yet. So if a person decides something like that, is there a chance that they will get malnourished and they will actually harm themselves?
Absolutely. Yes. You have to be very careful with this path. And it's not going to be something that happens quickly. I've given myself 10 years to get to the liquidarian state, and I might give myself another 10 to become full breatharian. There's no rush. It's very important that you do, your body is like a sine wave. There's the in breath and the out breath. Same with fasting and nutrition. Like the fasting is just as important as the nutrition. Same as your mind, the highs and lows of your mind, and they all connect. Your breath, what's going on in your body, and what's in your mind. So once again, you have to sync these things up. That's why, my teacher Eli Tom says meditation is the foundation of breatharianism. Even if you think about, breatharianism, right? You can go quite a long time without food, less long without water, but very short time without breath, right? So really, to cultivate breath work, you make these physiological changes and you get the body adapted to breathing chronically. As I was pointing out in that meditation, there's like your fontanelle and then your root at your perineum. And these are two pranic tubes that go in to feed the heart. The heart that is the thing that needs fed most. This is also ties into your relationships. It ties into your relationship with yourself and your own mind. And it's an energy balancing. So as you as you meditate more, you learn to get from your mind going from these big swings of like, yay, I'm so happy, oh, I'm crashing, this is horrible, to just like, just a low, a small wave. Same with fasting and breatharianism. People put too much attention on the not eating part. It's more about creating energy in your body and realizing that you're an energy being, And to do this, you start with, you can do a big fast, but if you do a big fast, you're going to go the other way and need to refeed. It just has to, right? So it's better to work it slowly to where you can go longer with your fasts, and then with your nutrition on the other end, like giving yourself the very best nutrition possible, as I said before, to electrify the cells, to get rid of parasites, you know, to make the body more adaptive, to make it more receptive to prana. You want to be, you know, feed all the different colors of the rainbow to your different chakras, you know. So all red, green, blue, violet, I forget, Roy G. Biv, red, orange, green, blue, indigo, violet. And that gets you all of the different phytochemistry you need, you know, so that you have like the antioxidants and the carotenoids and the, you know, the science of nutrition and the way these things, food is prana too. Everyone's really a breatharian. Everyone's living on prana. Some people are living in more dense prana and more food, and some are have learned to move away from that slowly, carefully. So that's what I suggest, is that with fasting, you learn to open it up more and more through epigenetics. So for me, like when I did my first dry fast, I didn't go for a killer like 10-day dry fast. I did 1 day, you know, and then the next time I did 36 hours. I didn't even do 48 hours. And then the next time I did 48 hours, and always a refeed in between, you know. What I have going now, and this is what my teacher Eli Tom talks about, is whatever you're doing, you'll know that you're doing it right if it's easy for you to sustain it. If it's really hard to sustain it, you're pushing yourself too much and you're gonna snap. It's this thing of, like, for me, my practice now is I'll do 20-hour dry fast 1 day and then refeed on liquids, and then 16 hours the next day and then refeed on liquids. And I do that all week, except for then on the weekend, I let myself have drinks all day whenever I want. So I'm stretching myself by going a little longer on my 20s, you know, and I give myself time to drink more in between. So, and then on the weekend, I open it up, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Yes, actually, I wanted just to share that that's actually my mindset in the managing of this weekly fasting group, because also my main intention is to provide people with something that would be sustainable. Because of that, you know, it's really open-minded. You can do whatever kind of fast you want. Some people just do fruit for 24 hours, like people who eat some other kind of diet, or some people go on juices or water or dry. So the most important is that it to be sustainable and to be consistent week after week after week. And then some people find themselves with the desire to extend it. And then sometimes we do like more, like 2 days fasting, you know, but yeah, so sustainability is the must, you know. So I just want to summarize what you have said, just to make sure I got it right. So if someone considers themselves to be on a Breatharian path, so what they should do now, the strategy is to provide themselves with the best nutrition, great nutrients to keep their body very healthy. Meanwhile, cultivate the energy, like to learn different methods of cultivating energy, and then gradually to change their mindset, kind of to get away from this notion of nutrition to the realm of energy feeding. So that would it be the right summary?
That is perfect. Very well put. That's nice and concise and just it. And there is a bit of the segue with your eating too, because the way I've seen it, or my experience was, you know, after doing standard American diet for years and years, moving to raw food was like was a pranic leap for me. I totally felt it in my body, and my energy, and my digestion, and everything.
Yeah.
And that's a key part, because it's high. Raw food is high in biophotons, which is light. It's high in water. It's high in fiber. It's high in enzymes, and it's high in nutrient. So that water, enzymes can wash out that stuff that you've accumulated,
mhm,
The fiber can be like an intestinal broom that scrubs all that stuff off
mhm,
your, mucoidal plaquing that, leads to poor absorption and etc. The enzymes and all that, just
mhm,
breaking it all.
mhm.
And then that also, the water is on a cellular level, it's washing your cells and cleaning them, from fatty deposits and toxins that have been trapped from fatty deposits. And it's
Yeah.
supplanting them with more dense nutrient.
Mhm, mhm,
So,
mhm,
and from there you move to liquids, because then it's about just washing out the guts,
mhm.
and
Yeah.
anything that's left, just washing it out, so that this pranic engine, once the more empty and clean this is, and more this can absorb, through breath work primarily, you can absorb sound, you can absorb anything through the intestines are designed to absorb light, color, sound, all kinds of things, frequency and
Okay.
vibration.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. Mm. Jesse, and so let's go to this basic level of nutrition, because most people, at least in this group, are probably not at the level where they can completely abandon this notion of nutrition. Let's take this basic level of nutrition. So, in your opinion, how can an average person, let's say living in a city, provide themselves with good nutrition to sustain their bodies? Do they need, can they only make it by consuming like fruits and vegetables and other things, or do they have to take supplements or not, superfoods? So what's your take on that?
that's a very good question. I'm involved with a superfood company because of this. Because my wish to serve the greater community. I have stumbled upon this path and had the good fortune to be, always, like, on the one hand, growing a lot of my own food or connected with other farmers, wild crafting things from the forest. That fresh food has much more nutritional value, because most of the food, even the good organics, are picked and then shipped and stored in warehouses, and all the time their nutritional quality is diminishing. Not to mention the diminishing quality of the topsoil and the nutrition that is, coming through the food. Whereas wild food, is super nutrient dense. Um, and so that's where, on the one hand, I would I would offer to people to start trying to learn wild foods. Even if you're in the city, if you have a small yard, if you can grow, uh, vegetables and fruits and wild foods, you can get a whole lot of your nutritional needs right from that. But
Mm,
generally speaking, like, even our organics are, one orange today has the nutritional value that of I'm sorry, one orange from 50 years ago today has the nutritional value of 8 oranges. So our
mm,
this is because of the whole issue with the topsoil, and why we must make regenerative farming a must in our, we got to kind of marry environmental sensitivity and economic sustainability, so that we can heal the topsoil, because this is all going to affect everyone's health, and even create, you know possibly terrible food shortages and crises, if we don't, make this a point of order. So I distribute these superfoods because, like, I have this power shake. You were asking me to share some of the things that I eat. This is one of the main things I consume. This is the only plastic bottle I have from this company. They have all bags that are biodegradable. They do all regenerative agriculture. They grow their farms 30 miles from anywhere that's even spraying glyphosate, because that's another issue. A lot of our organics are just downwind or downstream of farms that spray, because they're owned by the same companies, Mars and, Nestle and all these kinds of companies. So this company is really pure of heart. They've been studying all this and honing it for 27 years. And I jumped on because they have a system, this ultimate lifestyle transformation and system that is combined with these superfoods, a way to clean glyphosate out of the body and basically make yourself more pranic, because they employ intermittent fasting, a lot of raw berries and veg, raw enzyme-rich, nutritionally dense juices and probiotics. And that's a big thing. A lot of us have bad absorption because of eating standard American foods. It just plaques up, the stomach lining and the intestines, and we're not absorbing. So that's one way in which we're being nutritionally affected. And the other thing is this nutritional density. So one of these shakes is 6 superfood salads worth of nutrition in one juice, but it's juice. So your body just, it's this whole thing of your cells are just sucking up all that nutrition, and it's, really vitalizing and electrifying you. So those are some of the things I work with supplementally. I think if you're working with whole foods ingredients, that's why I like this company, is it's all just food. If you're working with whole food ingredients, that's going to be your best shot. A lot of supplements are pretty poor. I have pretty poor bioavailability, pretty poor density of nutrient, and I kind of stay away from supplements. But definitely superfoods and is a key thing. And superfoods is just, that name was coined, I think, by David Wolfe. And essentially superfoods are just really incredible wild foods that people have lived off, and taken benefit from for millennia. So there are things like, medicinal mushrooms and goji berries. They're in a class of herbs called adaptogens. So adaptogens are herbs that just make your body more adaptive. For instance, medicinal mushrooms are known to be immune modulators, immunity modulators. So if you have high immunity, like autoimmunity, like AIDS or something, it'll dial it down. If you have low immunity, it will bring it up.
Wow.
So it's all about, it's kind of like a biohacking game where you're just like finding all the things that are just going to make you thrive. And that's and not just based on the research. This is what I'd like to teach through my classes, and like what I'd like to share with you all is your higher self is just as smart as my higher self, and your body is just as brilliant at guiding you to what you need. The thing is that we're not really accustomed to listening to our bodies. And I know when I switched from raw foods to raw foods, I could feel after a time, I could definitely feel the difference between, fruit and greens and nuts versus before, when I was just an all eater, I would get a craving and I would just satiate it, So there's a lot to do with that, nutritionally doing the appropriate thing for yourself, through this inner guidance first and foremost. So sorry, that was all over the place.
Awesome. So we can put the details about those products below the video if you want, or we can just put your contact details so that people can contact you, people who are interested. So Jesse, do you think that if a person basically relies on the food they get in the regular supermarket, but they take, in addition to that, they take superfoods, do you think they will be able to get the adequate nutrition from that?
100%. It's much more about doing all these other practices. The dietary and fasting part is but one of the practices toward breatharianism. you want to put equal emphasis on breath work and meditation, equal emphasis on energy cultivation in the form of getting out in the sun and in the elements, or
Right.
grounding.
Right. But I mean, in terms of in this realm
So,
of nutrition,
yeah,
if a
yeah,
person lives in a city, obviously the produce in the supermarket it's not the best nutrition wise. But if they add superfoods to that, then you think they might get the adequate nutrition for themselves. Yeah.
yeah. It's this thing of it's very unique for everyone. So some people may actually have like healing issues that they need to deal with, and that they should really be attentive, that they're sure to get this kind of nutrition. Other people like Elitam, I'll relate that he said when his journey started, he was just used to eating meat and everything, having all kinds of health problems, and someone turned him on to vegan diets, and he didn't know what that meant. He just thought eat vegetables, so he was just getting canned, conventional, like cooked vegetables, and like throwing that on the stove, and he got massive health improvements from that.
Very interesting.
Early in my journey, a story of this guy who was a taxi driver, but he was a bodybuilder, and he had turned his health around with raw foods, and he had a meager income, but so he couldn't afford organics, but he just ate conventional foods and stayed away from the more toxically sprayed ones. And he had massive health gains. So it's a matter of like meeting in the middle,
Okay.
meeting in the middle of where you're at and what your needs are economically and physically, but I highly suggest these superfoods to everyone. Absolutely. I mean, to me, that's all I eat is superfoods. It's that
Okay,
you are what
great.
you eat. So I want
Great.
to do my best.
Great. Jesse, I also want to ask about people who don't have their garden, even the little one, but just live in cities and apartments. What about sprouting? Is sprouting beneficial? Because sprouting you can do everywhere.
Yes,
Is it a good thing to
absolutely.
do? Okay.
Even if you're in an apartment, there's all kinds of stuff you can grow. Sprouts is a really great way to get that nutrient density, because a sprout has between like 200% and 400% the nutrition that the seed does, because it's all of that flowering and fruiting potential that's been actualized and activated. And you can just do it in jars on a counter as long as you got a little bit of sunlight. Other things you can do is grow things in pots on your balcony, grow some, kale plants and some strawberries, or, or even inside. I know in our house, I have like our indoor tropical food that I grow, like citrus and aloe and, stuff like that I just do in pots. That I can always work into the meals for the family, So
yeah, Jesse. And if, for example, if a person is sprouting and they want to increase the nutrition of those sprouts, is there any trick that you have to do in order to, for example, add certain minerals in the water or whatever to boost their nutrition even more?
Yeah, you can boost them, just by putting a little like spirulina or kelp powder in the water.
Interesting.
That when you soak and sprout them, and that will give them a little bit more. But pretty much, it's another thing of that of a self-organized energy being. The seed has its total genetic expression just waiting, and as soon as you start it, it's got all that energy and life force inside of it.
Okay. And if you grow things in pots at home, would it be beneficial also to add some kelp powder or spirulina in the soil to make it more fertile?
You can do that. There's lots of ways. Like I saw someone was just taking cucumber peels, and then when they peel their cucumbers and then soaking those, or I guess they would cook them down and then grind them into a powder, and then put that into water to feed plants. Or you can take, like if you're cooking broccoli or something like that, you can take the water and you can put that on plants.
Okay.
You can also, just get some good organic, plant food from the hardware store or something.
Okay.
There's lots of hacks for that. So
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Jason, my next question, also nutrition wise, maybe you know about that, maybe you have inquired into that, about consumption of nuts. First of all, nuts that we buy in the store, some people say that they have been oxidized too much, like the oil. Some people say that it's fine. But so about that, and also about soaking, how important it is to soak nuts before their consumption.
Yes, definitely. A lot of the nuts, are heat pasteurized. And so to make sure that there's no, bacteria, and rancifies the oils of most of those nuts. So really, with respect to oils, I try to consume almost none, but the best oils are saturated fats. So, if you're going the vegan route, coconut oil is tremendous for oils. Nuts, are not so great. Nuts are also high in phytic acid. If you don't soak and sprout them, they're actually full of anti-nutrients. There's something, these phytic acid will pull nutrient out of your body rather than give you nutrient. And then nuts are also quite acidic and mucus forming. So that's another part of, as you're moving to more pranic. I mean, I'll put nut milk in my chai, for instance, and I still consume nuts, to some degree, but I try to limit them a little bit, because as you're trying, since I'm going for the breatharian, experience, the more inflammation you cause through these rancid oils or through these more acidic foods, it creates more mucus, and this plugs up this whole pranic system, the whole lymphatic system, and the digestion and all of it. So it's something to be aware of. And I actually ran myself into a little bit of trouble early on in my raw journey, because especially back then, it was a little early on in the whole kind of movement, and there was so many, like pretty much everything raw was just a bunch of sweet things with nuts.
Okay.
And a lot of it was not soaked and sprouted and stuff. And so I started demineralizing my teeth, and I had to turn it around nutritionally, and I achieved that. I took a brief gap from my vegan lifestyle and ate fish for about 2 months.
Okay.
And ghee and more greens, much more greens.
Yeah.
And then that healed up, and I got right back to raw. And then I was like, okay, no on the nuts,
Yeah.
So it's something you want to, it's that whole thing of balancing your inner body. Like I was saying, getting into what your body is telling you, from the inside out. Sometime you may be like on a fruit fast or juice fast, and you may feel a little bit, I know I get it even with the dry fasting and everything, where I'll feel a little bit too high energy, right? Like a little anxious,
Yeah.
And it's, more grounding to have those foods, but better to have something, more like a sweet potato or a squash, something, if you want to ground, sort of your,
absolutely.
And that's a whole nother thing, is emotional eating, but we won't get into that today.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe we'll have another webinar. It's actually a very popular subject. Lots of people are really, really interested about it. Emotional eating, cravings, etc. But that's the subject for another one. I just wanted to ask just the last point about nuts. If a person does want to consume some nuts, And those nuts are not in a sproutable form because, you know, sometimes we buy from the store, part of them are broken, they're not in their shells, etc. But is there any benefit in soaking that in that state? Will the water take out some of those anti-nutrients, even if they're not sproutable?
Yes, definitely. Definitely good to do that. I soak all of our nuts, or, as I spoke of, my family just eats whatever, so we'll cook beans for them.
Okay.
And we soak beans with vinegar, the night before, and then cook them because, yeah, just in general, beans and nuts and those kinds of things are just really hard to digest.
Yeah, so the idea that while soaking, we take out some of the anti-nutrients. Yeah.
Yes.
Ah,
Yes.
okay, I see. Just
And different
yeah, sure.
Sorry, different nuts need different soaking times too. Soft, like Brazil nuts and cashews, and those you can just do for like an hour, whereas harder nuts like almonds, or I forget, pistachios maybe, you would do overnight.
Ah, okay. What about macadamia? It's probably a soft one also, no?
Yeah, that's a softer nut. So you could just, I do overnight either way if I'm gonna make nut milk for my teas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Jesse, so we are going to open soon our microphones for the questions, and we also have quite a lot of questions we received in the chat. But I just wanted to ask you, how do you explain from your point of view this phenomena that, for example, people were vegan for quite a long time, and then they switched to absolute opposite, such as carnivore diet, eating only meat, and they get wonderful healing results from that. So how would you explain this? Because on YouTube you can see lots of stories like that. And so how would you explain this phenomena in terms of energies, in terms of nutrition, and what's your take on that?
So it's something I take a little bit of flack for, and it's something that I'm willing to, just for kind of the broader conversation, because everyone I know is a meat eater. All of my close people all eat meat. I have one vegan friend that I actually, besides, I have lots of them online, but one that I actually can hug,
Okay.
The thing of it is that I think there's a place for eating animals, right? Definitely as an herbalist, there's places where someone has become completely deficient and they're really frail and wasting, and that's where meat can be a medicine. In the time where I had to heal my teeth, I needed those omega oils, there's the thing of native people and indigenous diets, and the way, I dare any raw vegan to go to a Native American shaman elder and tell them that they're not spiritual. You know what I mean?
Of course.
Right. So it's this thing of, there's two things that I see with that. On the one is the healing state, and the other is your relationship and respect for the animal. I believe that, because I believe that the plants are equally sentient, and when we're eating plants, we're doing the same thing, though the fruit is offering itself, So there's just this, that's a whole nother thing, but
yeah,
there's this thing for body type, there's healing needs, what have you. There's also psychology, right? So and your individual karma or your individual dharma, your truth and the karma you're trying to play out in life and world, right? So I think what we need to do more than, in this conversation, because to me, I'm about the raw food life and the breatharian life. One of the big motivators for me is ahimsa and nonviolence. To me, I don't ever want to kill another being, if I can help it by any way, shape. I don't want to harm another being.
Yeah.
But that's not to say, like my Native American friends who do eat meat, they'll deer dance, they do this whole thing, and I believe there's this bit of a agreement between all beings on this realm, that we're going to eat and be eaten, by one another. And it's something that connects us, and it's actually beautiful. So, there's definitely times where depending, like that was my wife on raw food. Like she did raw food for about a month, and then she just started feeling worse and worse, and she started craving meat, and I'm not gonna, at first I really struggled. Like it was a bit of a hard thing for our marriage. It still persists to be, it's something that we have to actively be conscientious of, and of being kind-hearted about. But she just wasn't doing well with the raw food diet.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean about listening to your body, and knowing your own self, knowing yourself. That's part of the benefit of all this meditation and self-work and everything, is like really learning who you are and what you need as specific to you. So I think it's more about our re-sacralization of our relationship with food, and that we honor all the food as beautiful gifts of life that other sentient beings are giving us, and that we should have this thankfulness and reciprocity of energy kind of going on. And then to me, it's not like a morality dilemma sort of a thing. It's like what I want, that I need that gentleness in my heart to be ahimsa, and to move toward prana.
Right.
But like if there's people like I'm friends with Troy Casey, and he does all the pranic everything except for he eats meat. And some of my other, pranic friends are like, "Oh, you're friends with Troy Casey?" Because he's kind of bad. Like, I admit, he's kind of bad. He's kind of mean. He's like, "I'm going to save the vegans from themselves and get them all eating meat again." And like it, but he's a good man with a good heart, with the same mission to spread health and to get back into natural accord with the earth. So there's going to become this, at some point, this loving. I think the Breatharian vegan community could actually exemplify more of a vibe of allowance and acceptance and caring, that would allure more people from that tribe, if anything. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, that is so inspiring. Yeah, what you're saying, and thank you so much for sharing your personal story about your wife. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Sure.
Jesse, you mentioned omega-3 fatty acids. I wanted to ask for vegans, what would be the best source? Because when we talk about chia seeds, about flax seeds, those are precursors. This is not the omega-3 that our body really needs. So our body needs to convert it. Now, from your experience, is there any other source that is better, or if there is any better way to convert, to increase the conversion to the right omega-3?
I'm pretty fond of algae. Algae are high in omegas and really bioavailable and really nutritionally dense foods. So they are, ostensibly superfoods.
Yeah.
So that's my, that and like you said, chia flax. It's really this, I have moved enough past all of that in my body and my consciousness.
Okay.
that it's not an issue anymore for me. I don't take supplementary omega oils at all.
Okay, because I do take a vegan supplement of omega-3 derived from algae. So there are supplements that are derived from algae. Yeah, so there is such a thing. And I also heard, I think it came from Gabriel Cousins. I don't know that if you grind flax seeds and consume them with coconut oil, then the conversion rates gets up. But have you heard anything like that?
I was going to suggest that. I haven't actually done any research, but I know that coconut oil in and of itself is a really medicinal food, you know, superfood, you know. And part of it is a key part of building towards this state, because in Ayurvedically you want to build your ojas. It's called your ojas, which is your oils. This is the same stuff that's your seminal fluid and your cerebral spinal fluid. You know, so especially if you have been like overly sexually active, it's going to be important to to nourish and rebuild those oils. So I think coconut is just about the best thing for that myself. Coconut is a great food to consume, all of it, the water and
absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, I think that's the right time to open our microphones, guys. So if you have any questions for Jesse, please unmute yourself and ask. You don't need to ask for permission, just do that. If we don't get any questions from you, then we will just answer a few questions from the chat.
Someone had a question that came up, but I missed it.
Yeah, I think in the chat. But first of all, okay, Ellie from Argentina. Hello. Ellie has just finished the Pranic process with Nicolas Pillard.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah,
yes.
And she's on liquids right now, right?
Awesome.
Yeah, but Ellie, just please unmute yourself. I think that we cannot hear you.
She looks unmuted.
Yeah, she looks unmuted, but we cannot. Let's try again. No, Ellie, unfortunately, we cannot. Maybe. Okay, she's putting on her headset.
No, not yet. No. So sorry. I'd love to talk.
Yeah, maybe we can get to some other question, and meanwhile, Ellie will try to connect. So, guys, do you have any more questions? Does anyone have any more questions?
Or just type it, Ellie, if you.
Yeah, Ellie, you can just type it if you like. Yeah, let's see. We got something here in the chat. Did you a question for Jesse? So, Jesse, would you like to open the chat and just read the question?
Oh.
Do you know how to do that? You just open the chat.
Oh shoot.
Okay, then
where'd it go?
Okay, I will just read it for you. A question for Jesse. Did you try Stanley Boudreau's master cleanse with lemon juice, maple syrup, cayenne pepper, and warm water? If so, do you recommend it?
I didn't.
Oh, hello, Jesse.
Oh, hi.
No, sorry, Ellie. Well done.
Okay, so you just read my question. That was my first question.
Okay. Okay. So sorry, I'm trying to get my screen back here. I don't know where it went. There it is. So I did not do the master cleanse, but I have worked a lot with as an herbalist, it dawned on me that there's a whole healing path with terpenes.
Okay.
So terpenes are in all citrus, all the, oregano and thyme and rosemary, pine trees, and cannabis. They're all digestive, respiratory neuroplasticizers. So actually one thing I did was, what do you call that stuff? turpentine therapy.
Turpentine. Okay. And how would be that? How would you do that?
You have to make sure you get pure spirits of turpentine, not just stuff from the hardware store. You have to get like the real stuff, and it comes in a tiny bottle. And I forget. I think you just put it. It's been a long time, and I could look up if you're interested in it. Text me, and I'll send you a link about the therapy. And you just put a little bit on a sugar cube, and you eat the sugar, and the sugar, sugar's terrible, but this actually serves the purpose of it attracts the parasites, and then the turpentine destroys it.
Okay. And is it heavy for the body? Because some cleanses make you weak in the first days, or you feel bad, or you are not able, for example, to work or to, function normally. And is it like that, or you can do it like a normal thing?
I found it was, that's the thing about these terpenes is I found with them being neuroplasticizers, having an effect on the mind, is I found myself a little more clear-minded when I did, that's also been my experience with the whole Pranic thing. But you could also just work, I would also do lemon juice.
Lemon, yes, because this master cleanse, you are supposed to drink like 6 or 8 glasses of 10 ounces of warm water with 2 tablespoons of fresh lemon juice and 2 tablespoons of maple syrup and 1 little bit of cayenne pepper.
Yeah. So that's really great. The one thing is it just depends on the individual, because the cayenne can be problematic for a lot of people. It's this thing of all herbs have they're all kind of categorized by their thermodynamics. They're either warming or cooling. So warming herbs are going to increase your circulation. There's good things about them, but they can also lead in, like if you have inflammation and you're having too much of this warming, it kind of increases the inflammation, so that's why I prefer just straight lemon juice and water, or the turpentine theory. But definitely I've definitely done plenty of glasses of lemon water with maple syrup and cayenne just because it's nice.
yes, it's very nice. It has very good taste.
Yeah. So, that's that whole thing of following your body. If you're doing that and it feels really good to you and it tastes good.
It tastes good and feels good. And also, I am naturally inclined to all the peppers and, spicy things. They kind of clear my mind and make me feel very good. So I think that I am not one of the persons that have problem with cayenne pepper and those things.
That's good. Yeah, that's me too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Sure. No trouble.
Okay. Jesse, so in the chat, we had a question about iodine, how to get enough iodine in our current world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the best source of iodine that I know of is seaweeds and sea moss. And it's really important to tap up your iodine, both for physiological function, particularly for your thyroid and to hedge against, Hashimoto's and stuff like that. But also, if your natural iodine levels are topped off, your body won't absorb radioactive iodine from like nuclear testing and, Fukushima and all that kind of stuff. So, that becomes a thing, like where's the seaweed being harvested from? Is it being harvested from, where there's damage from Fukushima or etc. And, hence more the need to, sort of appropriate a culture, or cultivate a culture that, is cares about healing the earth and, turning it around actively, so that our food systems are and things are clean. But yeah, that's the long. I'm always long-winded. I have a Panamanian mother, so.
Okay, Jesse, so we have a few more questions in the chat, but before that, I just wanted to ask, in your opinion, is there a place for measure for doing blood tests or urine tests in order to detect different nutritional deficiencies, or it's better just to listen to your body?
Yeah, I don't think there's any harm in going to the doctor and getting some tests done. Definitely, it's a good thing to. It's really good to feel your body from the inside out as a practice, and to take your own health into your own hands. But like what our family does when we go, if we have a concern, is we'll go to the doctor and then we'll figure out how we can treat it naturally.
Okay.
This is what you should do, and we'll go, okay, and then we just go home and figure out a different way to, knowing that other option is always there if we need it. But I hadn't actually had blood work done or anything for, since before I became a Liquidarian, and I was just curious, when the doctor asked me, and she, called me, and she was just like she sounded like a teacher who had a student she was proud of. She was like, your results are so good. I can't believe it. And I was like, well, great. Thanks. Good to know.
Wow. That's amazing. That's a great approach. Very, very balanced. Thank you so much for sharing. Cool. And then, so we have this question, what herbs Jesse uses daily and why? So probably it might help if you just tell us about the content of that juice or that shake that you do every day. What does it contain?
I have here my picnic basket. See, so this is the kind of thing I'll take. I don't take all this to work, but like I'll go work all day, and sometimes I'm on my 20-hour window of dry fasting 20 hours and drinking for 4. So, and that 4 will be while I'm working. So the power shake, on the one hand, this is all organic, so I won't say organic every time. Rice bran extract, oat flour, spirulina, millet, carrot juice powder, wheatgrass juice powder, alfalfa leaf juice powder, oatgrass juice powder, buckwheat, quinoa, raspberry flavor, apple, lohan, guoberry, and chia seed.
Okay.
And then this is MVP Sport, since I'm, very active doing, making gardens, and I'm kind of hyperactive, always running around all over the place, and love to snowboard and skateboard and hike and, wildcraft. So this has pea protein, rice protein, pumpkin protein, cacao, sunflower oil, acacia, moringa, monk fruit, acerola cherry, maca, pink Himalayan salt, eleuthero, which is a ginseng, cordyceps mushrooms, which is a lung meridian medicinal mushroom, chaga mushroom, which is immune enhancing, rhodiola, which is another adaptogen, digestive enzymes, lactospore, turmeric, vanilla, agaricus mushroom, and black pepper.
Good combination.
Yeah. And so, and then I have like this one. This one is fairly similar. This is Epigenius for kids. It's a formulation that tastes like chocolate drink, so that you get kids to eat all kinds of stuff. And it's an antioxidant blend of a bunch of berries, I could list them all if you want, but acai, amla, blackcurrant, blackberry, blueberry, lemon juice, maki, pomegranate juice, raspberry, strawberry, tart cherry. And then it has a functional fat blend of MCT oil from coconut oil and vitamin E from sunflower oil. Has an algal blend of spirulina, chlorella, and algal D. And then it has the biomedic, which is the third-party probiotic that's third-party tested to take glyphosate out of the body.
Okay.
And a vegetable blend of like broccoli, cabbage, carrot, kale, parsley, spinach.
Wonderful. So is it like an oily mixture texture, or it's a powder that you mix with water? How does it look like?
Yeah, these are all powders. So
and they're produced by the company with which you are affiliate. Yeah.
That's right.
Okay. Okay.
I just mix a couple of spoons of these in a big, shaker bottle.
Okay.
And that's pretty much what I eat.
Okay. So
other than that, I'll press some fresh pressed juices and have teas and kombuchas and broths.
Okay. Okay. And how long has it been since you had solid food the last time?
On Christmas I had with my dad a little bit of vegan lasagna his wife made for me.
Okay.
And that was the first time I'd broken my liquid fast in 4.5 years.
Wow.
I did it basically because my dad is kind of going downhill.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'll have another Christmas. So he thinks I'm weird, so because I always show up at Christmas with like a bowl full of broth, or whatever. I just thought I'd eat with him. Yeah,
I totally get it. Thank you very much for sharing.
Sure.
Okay, so the next question is okay. So you have already answered a few questions. Okay, you pretty much answered that, but she's asking, is fasting alone sufficient to reverse deficiencies?
No, it's not. Your body will, you can get your body to this place of, living off the energy of the universe, but you're going to have to be in good health to do it. So if you have deficiencies, you need nutritional therapy. It's not going to come from fasting. Fasting can augment that and help, because you can increase your, absorption and a whole range of things by including fasting, like intermittent fasting, or like your group does once a week kind of a thing, but no, deficiencies, you're going to need to become, you're going to have to get that wrapped up,
Okay. And then you have also pretty much answered that, but she's saying, I will just write it because maybe you have some other thoughts about it. Are organic, naturally sourced multivitamins actually useful and helpful for the body on an active liquidarian pranic lifestyle?
Yeah, I think if they're whole food sources like these are, then yes. As long as they're food-based, or made out of actual herbs, not synthesized things in a laboratory.
Yeah, and then if you take those, they can also correct deficiencies, right?
Much more so. Yeah, that's the thing of most of us are nutritionally deficient. Almost everyone is magnesium deficient, and it's this whole thing of the degraded land, it's good to juice is another, or have something like the superfoods. Juicing is good because you know how it is when you put all that through the juicer, you got like this big pile on your table, and then you put it through the juicer and you got like a quart or a little bit, maybe 2 quarts of juice, right? That's getting that nutrient density to your cells.
Okay. Wow, very important. Okay, and then she's asking also, what's your opinion on reversing intestinal bowel syndrome? IBS. I think it's irritable bowel syndrome, if I'm not mistaken, and gut inflammation, and improving digestion and intestinal movement, like probably bowel movements. So all this area, how would you treat it if you had a client with these kind of symptoms?
Well, if it's good to talk one-on-one to get into the nitty-gritty details, but generally speaking, there's irritable bowel syndrome and colitis and Crohn's disease and leaky gut is this whole thing that happens of the mucoid plaquing, the plaquing of your intestinal walls so that they can't absorb and they just start to fill up and leak and all kinds of things. There's all this distress. IBS is more gastrointestinal distress and nausea and painfulness, there's a lot of things. On the one hand, fasting can be helpful because it's all about relieving that. It's allowing it to be broken up and move through, hydration in that so that it can wash that out. And then in terms of foods and herbs, you can use things like turmeric, or mint are really great for relieving, on the one hand, the painfulness, but actually also relieving some of the disease, but by bringing the inflammation down in that region of the body. Another great thing is like sauerkraut or lacto-fermented vegetables. You can at home, for very cheap, create some of the best probiotics that there are by just doing lacto-fermentation. And I've heard of a lot of people turning around IBS solely on lacto-fermented foods. That was like the thing that did it for them. But and like anti-inflammatory diets, raw food diet, but staying away from the nuts and stuff, and just leaning more on the berries and the antioxidant, anti-inflammatory foods like blueberry, or kiwi, or or dark chocolate. Those things can be helpful. Chocolate maybe a little bit less because some people have trouble digesting chocolate a little bit, but and then there's a whole range of like digestive herbs, like all those terpene, like we were talking about with Ellie, the path of the terpenes. Just using some lemon juice, or some working some thyme or oregano into your meal, those kinds of things will help alleviate a little bit, or even tea of thyme or oregano would be a good helper. So.
Wow, thank you so much, Jesse. My next question is in relation to fruit and fruit juices. First of all, fruit itself. Most of the fruit we consume now, they have been hybridized, so their sugar content is much higher than it was in the past. What's your take on consuming fruit nowadays? And also fruit juices, then you consume almost pure sugar without any fiber. So what are your thoughts about this realm?
On the one hand, I'm not really that worried about the sugar thing. Anything you put into your body is going to convert into sugar. Even fats, meats, protein, all that, it is converted into sugar in the body. Fruit actually converts into some of the best sugars for your brain, galactose. With respect to that hybridization thing, yes, that's kind of a thing. That's where I try to lean more towards like wild and heirloom varieties of things to work with, because of that very fact and they just tend to be more nutritionally dense. So, and then if you're working with fasting, or like I am, dry fasting, your body will eat up all that glycation. Hopefully, as I understand it, it will eat it up before they turn into advanced glycation end products. But that's the worry, actually, is that taking in too much glycation will age your body, you know.
So what about the consumption of juices? Would you like pure fruit juices? Would you advise to limit their consumptions or not to limit?
Not so much, really. No, I feel it from the inside out. Your body will tell you. If you have too much, your body will tell you. You know. But I mean, yeah, I've been living off primarily fruit juices and very sugary drinks for 4.5 years. And it's that thing of like, when you're not having anything else, and a big part of this lifestyle, no matter what your dietary preference or how much you're fasting, whether you're trying to be chronic or anything, exercise is a must, you know, to pump the lymphatic system, to actually build energy, and you know, to move, you know, whatever you have in your body through, you know, so that patient can get eaten up in activity, you know, whether mental or physical. But you know, it's one of those things that you kind of got to watch. You got to watch the energy of it, and that's what I was talking about earlier with, like, you know, sometimes you may be fasting and you feel the sense of being a little too high, you know, and that's where, you know, you might want to ground out. Like, you might want to just do a green juice for the next one, like celery and, you know, parsley or something.
Yes. Yes.
But if you're not feeling that, you know, I feel like you're good to carry on. It's just a matter of, you know, really getting dialed into that sense of your own inner knowing of what's best.
Okay, Jesse, so on your current lifestyle, Liquidarian lifestyle, do you consume lots of fruit juices or not so much?
Yeah. I mean, not as much. You know, I've been going, I think I shared with you last time, I've been going through a huge healing crisis. My son had neurological disease, and he got uranium, mercury poisoning, all kinds of stuff. And it was an extremely trying thing and absorbed a lot of my energy. And that's where these powdered superfoods came in great handiness, because I could, you know, care for him and quickly shake up a drink and get something for myself. But I like to treat myself at least once a week, if not more, to making myself some juice. And I prefer, some of my favorite juices are like just melons, you know, melons all by themselves, or like Ellie, I got a spicy taste bud. So like pineapple with like jalapenos and cilantro, you know, or like, you know, it's kind of fun when you're living off liquids. It's that thing of like keeping it interesting. So Ellie's shaking her head. She knows what I'm talking about.
Yes, I agree with you, because I used to be a cook. So going to a liquidarian lifestyle, to, you know, going to the breatharian pranic lifestyle, I was afraid that I was going to lose all the flavors that I liked so much, because for me cooking is like an art, and you combine flavors and that gives you some happiness. But I have discovered that you can combine flavors being liquidarian, and I guess that when I transition to breatharianism, I will find happiness in some flavors as well.
Well, what I find is, because I also love to cook, moving more towards breatharianism, it's like these ways in which you feed yourself, like feeding your heart, you know, through the things you love. So I still love to cook, you know, and the smells become more of like what feeds you, you know what I mean? And the happiness of the people that you feed, you know.
Wow.
So,
Amazing.
yeah, and you're kind of trading up for a higher vibe, you know. You may have missed it here, but you're getting a different flavor in your soul.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, guys, do you have any more questions before we wrap it up?
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Here it's evening, night
Oh,
actually. Okay, it's fascinating. All these insights, like, I mean, we only inspire one another and get information from one another because we can't get this information anywhere else. So it's also from my experience and from what I'm hearing from you and other people, I understand it's sort of a process, a long process, where you have to, where you the more you become raw, then you clean the system, and the more the system is clean, then you don't need all these supplements. That's what I understand, that you can live on, and I also see it on myself, but we have to encourage one another, and because, you know, we're up against the whole world, so it's difficult with all they're saying, you know, you need meat, you need B12 and all that. So actually what happens is with time we need less, and also the body, the cleaner the body is, the body knows how to supplement itself, and we don't need all these to worry about all these B12 and I don't know, all the other things, like sort of the body does it ourselves. I mean, actually that's what should have been in the first place. Like, if we didn't eat the wrong foods for many years, then, and the body was cleaner, it would have functioned better. We wouldn't need all these supplements. The body can do it. It's sustainable. That's what I understand.
It's a self-organizing energy. You're a self-organizing energy field, and just like the earth is a self-organized system, and we're just a fractal of that. And it's been an interesting thing to me as I move closer and closer to this and moving towards being in the liquid life. I remember at the very beginning having this sense of like feeling like a baby again, you know. And I actually think our higher self is our inner child, and that when we're open, like you are when you're a baby, there's really like an infinite potential available to you, you know. But you know, we're all very guarded because of all of our experiences with the world, where we have had to protect this child, you know. And so to me, to some degree, that's what this pranic lifestyle is about, is actually connecting back in with that inner child, knowing like the child isn't there like worrying about whether it's going to eat or whether you know, it may feel a pang of hunger, you know, and cry out, but that happens in the moment. It's not projecting ahead of time like we do as adults, and we drain our energy in all these little ways. So this learning to become breatharian is more like pulling in these little strings of where we've let our energy out, like the way we're still holding anger at that one friend, or, you know, this or that or the other, helps us. The more we shed that and get more into our body and into the moment through the breath work and through, you know, the heart and that loving vibration, we start to realize that everything's okay. And that was the big thing for me learning herbalism, you know, and finding out that basically everything around you all the time is plants that want to help you heal and nurture you, that really the universe is conspiring in your favor. And as my teacher Ellie Tom says, it's user friendly. And same with our bodies. And we've kind of complicated matters, you know. So
actually we've got such a big potential, because everybody's so intoxicated and still they're functioning and everything. Also with all this medication and the jabs and everything is okay, it's fine. I mean, so we must have such a great potential.
We're extremophiles. We're, you know, there's certain things in nature, like the little spores of fungi and stuff that can survive the cold of space and come through the, you know, the atmosphere and get burned up super hot, you know, and have a cataclysmic smash with the ground and still be intact and sprout and grow, you know. So that's our ancestry. That's how this planet came together, you know, and that we all arose out of all of that same kind of primordial, you know, really resilient life. So
if the society, I mean, hypothetically, if there were more breatharians, more raw foodists, that would make the society better, wouldn't it? Like people more aware, people more caring, people.
If we enrich ourselves in that way, and I think it's part of creating a culture. I think that's partly what we're trying to do by connecting in this way right now, you know, is that we've grown up in a culture that perpetuates trauma, and we want to turn that around, you know, and to just have that attitude of, you know, trying to, there's a practice I've taken upon myself of every person I see, I want to like see if there's anything I can do in service or in word or anything to try to improve their life, even just a tiny bit. Like, nice shirt, you look good today, you know, just any little thing. And if we can, you know, the other thing I've come to learn is that the work we do on ourselves and that attitude of loving kindness that we bring to ourselves is what we emanate to the world. If we're hard on ourselves, even in this practice, like you don't want to go towards breatharian being really rigid, you know, let this be like an opening, growing, natural like process, you know. And because when we bring that attitude of like patience, allowance, loving kindness, and like health into our own minds and bodies, and then we share that out non-judgmentally, you know, like we were talking about the meat eaters and stuff, like we're not going to get them on board with us if we're telling them how bad they are for eating animals, you know. But if we can live a vibration and emanate a vibration that is attractive, then we're really like changing, and doing this work on ourselves, we're really changing the whole world, you know. Even if it's us and then we just help one friend, you know, and that one friend maybe helps one or two other, you know, it starts to spread out. So definitely.
Forget eating meat. What about all these people that smoke and, you know, people that are causing themselves so much harm, and still everything's good, everyone's happy, everyone is.
Yeah, and that's a big part of it for me. That's been a huge thing in learning to do this, is like respecting everybody's dignity of choice. If they're gonna do, you know, just try to inspire them, do things that, you know, and let it go. Use skillful means so that it doesn't come off in a, you know, a judgmental, harsh way, but like a way that's inspiring and loving. And then people might, you know, think twice about it, like, yeah, maybe I will think about making that little change, you know. Maybe I'll quit smoking cigarettes and I'll take wheatgrass shots for a while, you know. I don't know. One can hope.
And we're working so hard and abstaining from different kinds of food, and All right. Okay. So I hope we're not doing it for nothing. We're gonna, because I see people around me, everything is good. They eat whatever they want. They smoke, they took the jabs and everything is fine. And I'm working so hard and I'm abstaining from things. So I hope it pays. I mean,
no, I hear you. I mean, that becomes the thing, is our relations. You become so closely, I don't know. It's a weird thing. I see it with my family all the time, because they're eating stuff around me and then I'm like, "Ugh." And it's kind of catching myself right there and not being like, don't judge it, because people will come around to these things with the right timing and season. If it's forced too early, like a bloom, you can't force a blossom to bloom, but if you can be the leader, if you can be the gardener, just gently watering little thoughts of happiness of how you could be healthy with this or that, or try my little raw cheesecake, or whatever to entice them, then it starts to grow in them, so, but it's tricky to do it without feeling like, worried for them or wishing you could join them, or these kinds of things, at first. But the more you practice, and it's just like, oh yeah, this is how I do.
Yeah, it becomes a habit and part of you already. So just like bad habits are hard to change, also good habits becomes part of you.
Well, I like what Arik said about consistency, and I heard this really great thing shared the other day. This guy was saying, if you've been consistently making bad choices that have led you to where you are now, that should give you every reason to believe that you could also consistently make good choices. And it's just about discipline,
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, guys, we are approaching 2 hours, so let's wrap it up. Maybe so Jesse will be in touch because I think this subject of food cravings and emotional eating is a very hot subject, and I think that you have a lot to share about that. But that's for the future. But right now, please tell us again, like I will ask you what I asked you the last time. Tell us a little bit about your services, about your products, and how you can help people more. People who like this interview, they want to be in touch with you personally. What can you do for them?
Feel free to reach out to me either on Instagram at _life cultivationist or life_cultivationist, all run together. Sorry about that. Or you can go to ziapermaculture.com or ziaenergeticsllc@gmail.com, and that's ZIA. That's the Native American sun symbol. And I offer health coaching, and I offer cleanses. We offer medicinal tinctures and classes, and I'm thinking about opening up some online courses more because I'm just having more people asking me about teaching about permaculture and teaching about prana, and that's what I want to do. Just reach out to me if you're interested in any of those things. If I hear more voices saying, yeah, teach some courses, then I'll definitely arrange that and keep you in queue. Or if you want to just contact me via one of those streams, my website or Instagram or Facebook or something, then we can connect and do personal consultations or whatever you like.
Okay, Jesse. So again, we'll put all of your contact details below the video, guys. So please go there and contact Jesse. And meanwhile, let's wrap it up. So thank you so much for coming, for participating. Thank you.
My pleasure, Arik. Thank you everyone for coming. I appreciate having the the Sangha and the family of fasters and light workers and heart people out there. Keep
Thank you
shining
so
your
much.
light.
Thank you so much. Yes, it was wonderful. So much wisdom. So like really, really mind blowing. So thank you so much again. Thank you
My pleasure.
guys. Bye bye.
Bye everyone. Have a great day.
Bye everybody. Bye bye.